everyone, welcome back. So we are ready to start our teacher and alumni panel next. And again, I would like to welcome Dr. Tabor back to be our moderator. So yeah, hope you had a good time so far. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Remember that after this, we're going to have our 20 Points in History building tour of the old State House. I hope you can also stick around for that. And now, without further ado, here are our teachers and alumni and our very own Rebecca Tabor. Thank you so much. It's so nice to have a lot of familiar faces. I want to first recognize our two teachers who are the Connecticut nominees for the Patricia Barron Award. Jennifer McMahon, who has served not only as a teacher but also as an original coordinator, is the junior division nominee. And then Matt Kay, who's at Pathways to Technology, is our senior division. And so we really appreciate all the teachers who do the program. But we're lucky enough to have a number of alumni here, and it's so nice to see them. It makes me feel a little old, to be perfectly honest. But I had the pleasure of working with Joy Lee, and then Guido Bonneau, who actually still judges for us every year. Riley Bartolomeo, who's also a colleague here at CTN, and then TJ Hill Sullivan, who is going to talk a little bit about his film production company and all that's happening and how History Day has helped them in their lives and careers. So we'll have to kind of pass the microphone here a little bit. So for our alumni, how many years did you do Connecticut History Day? You can name maybe your favorite project and topic, and what category did you participate in?
I only participated for 1 year. I was in the junior exhibit category, and we did a project on immigrants.
I did the Connecticut History Contest for 4 years. I went to Nationals in 2016, and I did a project on Martha Graham, which was exploring power plants.
I did, what's her topic? I did 4 years in the documentary category, all of which I will say, at some point you learn to get 10 birds out of your viewing diet.
I did 6 years. I did 3 years junior exhibit in middle school, and then in high school I was doing documentary and did 3 years, 2 of which 2 years I went to nationals. My favorite project was my final project was a documentary on Rolf Nader and the start of the seatbelt safety revolution.
TJ, I still remember that project. For our teachers, how long have you been involved, and why do you think it's so important to give students an opportunity to participate in History Day?
So I was first exposed to History Day in 2001 when I was teaching at Hall Memorial School in Millington, and students in other classes were leaving to go work with the enrichment teacher on History Day. I've been at Mansfield Middle School for 22 years, so my first 11 years I was a classroom social studies teacher, sending my students to the enrichment teacher, partnering with him for History Day work. And then the last 11 years I've been the enrichment teacher and the main History Day coach at our school. I think History Day is important to students because it provides them with agency, especially at middle school level. Students often don't have a choice about what they learn and how they learn, and History Day provides them with that opportunity to select something that might be a passion area for a student that they might not have to explore during the school day.
I started in History Day, I believe, 2017 and the 2018 competition. I started out of competition myself because as a teacher, a social studies teacher in my building, all the other departments were competing in something. We had robotics, and we had entrepreneurial, and we had debate, and there was math competitions. And I was looking around, I think I want my department to really get up and out within the communities and within the academic settings. So I got involved with Connecticut History Day. Every year, a couple more competitors to compete within it, and building it within our department, social studies department, simply as research projects, depending on the time period and the part in the curriculum of what topic we were working on. And it just so happened to build in with the end of the marking period, our grades in the first semester, and then into the regional competition.
For our alumni, hopefully you won't say I didn't develop any. What skills did you develop from being involved with History Day, and in your career today, how are you using some of those skills?
I developed a lot of historical research skills. I work here at the Old State House now, and in between my time doing my history project and working here, I've been able to go to a lot of different libraries and museums, and a lot of schools and historical institutions, and do research with them and learn more from them. But a lot of the basics that I learned doing History Day still help me every single day.
I think for me, my biggest thing was being able to learn how to put together a thesis and do a lot of research, analyze the data, and put it into a cohesive project of some sort, whether it's an essay or a presentation or anything like that. But it helped me in my master's program a lot when I was writing my final thesis. It really helped me to pull in information and do a lot of research and create a long-winded and paper and put together management bibliography. I work as a business analyst now, so that ability to analyze data through research has helped me in that position.
I guess I'll take the long way with this and say, similarly as why I'm a huge fan of why liberal arts colleges are great, is the whole idea of critical thinking and applying it to anything you do, right? So like currently, I'm in the news business producing for the Connecticut Network, which you can find at ctn.com, or whether it's producing feature and short films or even off-Broadway, it's all about how do you make that argument, whether it's off-Broadway or in films raising money, or in the news business where you have to research constantly and make sure what you're putting on screen is accurate. And so it all feeds into each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think History Day set me on my career path that I'm on now. Of my freshman year of high school, one of my teachers said, hey, maybe instead of doing exhibit, you should consider doing documentary. And there was a video production class at our school, and I was taking that. So learned the basic video production skills, and was able to go to national with my project that year. And then at national saw the incredible films that were being made all across the country, and said, hey, I need to step up my research game, but also I need to step up my production game and with cameras and all that. And that kind of put me on this path of learning both through school and through just YouTube videos, all the different tips and tricks to improve my production skills. And so I continued to grow through my time at History Day, and then transitioned into studying film in college. And then getting out of college, I spent a year in LA working for Mattel Films, and then came back here to start my Hershey Film Company. But that all kind of like the first seed of that, the very first film I ever made was the History Day films. And I think the skills of being able to dive into a project, set timelines, like that's one of the other cool things about History Day is that it is a slightly more self-guided project where you have to like figure out on your own time, okay, what am I going to do these interviews? What is my timeline from being able to do the interviews to edit it to actually being able to present it? So I think all of those skills were skills I'm very glad I learned so early on.
And tell us a little bit about your exciting news that came out recently.
Sure, yeah. So Hartford Film Company, when I moved back here 2 years ago to found the Hartford Film Company, and our first project was a feature-length film called Midas, which actually shot right around this corner from here and all throughout the city of Hartford, and it will be in theaters June 28th, and streaming on Stars later this year.
I think for all of our panelists here, I'd be interested to know what was a highlight History Day moment. It can be, winning, it can be meeting someone. I'd be very interested to hear from everyone what is a highlight in your History Day experience.
Okay, so I heard you got to get Ken Burns out of your head. He was the keynote speaker at Nationals a few years ago. that was really, I was like, oh, this is how normal people must feel when a Kardashian walks by. I was like, oh my gosh, Ken Burns. So getting to hear Ken Burns speak at nationals was amazing. And on the opposite end, what I love is when a student chooses to do history day with me, and other teachers mutter, they don't follow through with their work, they're never gonna get through this. And that kid creates a project and goes to the regional contest, and they are so happy, and their parents are there, they're taking pictures. I just love when students do something that either they doubted they could accomplish, or others doubted that they could accomplish. For me, that's the win. It's not, yes, I'm happy when kids qualify for states and nationals, but I think the biggest victories come at the regional contest and the students who get there and who create projects for the first time.
I did my project in class with a bunch of other kids who are also doing the projects, and they're all different. But most of the school year, we didn't really see what we were working on. So it was really cool to just be able to see what my classmates and friends were passionate about at the end of the year once we finished all our work.
I think for me, my highlight of History Day was when I first started. My school was very active in History Day. I had a lot of support from my teacher though, and she told me about it. She really pushed me and encouraged me to do it. I was in the performance category, which wasn't a super popular category at the time. It's super popular now, which I love and appreciate. I love watching live performances. I think a lot of people steer themselves away from the category because it requires a live, presentation, a live performance. Usually you write your own monologue, and it can be a lot of work, as any category is in History Day. But a lot of support from my teacher. And then when I went to high school, my high school didn't know anything about History Day. So I brought it to them and I told them, hey, we're gonna do this. Do I have your full support? And I had their full support the entire time. And then I went to nationals that year, so that was really great. And my school was super supportive. And now they're actually one of the regional contests in Norwich, so that's great to see them all active now. So that's great. And then when I came back to judge, I've been judging every year since I graduated college, and it's great to just be on the other side of the table and see what students are putting together and thinking, wow, I was in their shoes once, and I know what it's like to be on the other side of that table and present my project to people who have done it before and who have the experience. So kind of the entirety of my history journey has been a highlight for me.
I would definitely say, besides the phenomenal bonds that are created between you, the student, and the teacher who sent me there, I would say there was this moment during one of the years, I think it was in the New Haven contest, where in the doc category, there were maybe 3 or 4 of us in that room, and all the judges are there, and they all look like people from the DMV, and you're, no offense to judges, great job, but you're young. And so we're all waiting, we're all watching each other's stuff, and then there was that collective moment where all the judges get up, you're supposed to sit down, and they leave, and there's this gigantic relief that everyone just shares in it. And then the nerds kick in maybe a half hour before you're supposed to walk into the auditorium, but definitely the highlight of that was you have this communal moment despite our individual projects.
I'd say for me, my junior year project, the one I went to nationals with, the Ralph Nader one, I think I like looking back on it, the amount that I was just like, oh yeah, like I can interview anyone. And so I interviewed Ralph Nader, which like in retrospect was like, how did I as a 16-year-old kid like interview Ralph Nader who was run for president? And it's like, but it was just kind of being like, oh, like I want to do this project the best I can, and doing a documentary about Ralph Nader and actually interview Ralph Nader. And like asking him if he was nice enough to say yes. But I think looking back on it, like those cool little moments of like, for the rest of my life, I was like, oh yeah, I interviewed Ralph Nader as a 16-year-old. That's a really cool opportunity that only came about for the History Day.
Personally, the biggest moment is probably being nominated for the senior division and representing Connecticut. As us all history buffs, we know the background, the place that Connecticut played in our nation's history. I think the moments that always stand out to me are the moments just after competition, whether the student comes out of their documentary or their website and says, oh, I'm really glad I was doing this, or the work we do at school helped me to present, helped me to be less stressful with the interview. This year I had out of 4 different programs that registered, 2 of them dropped out sort of the day of competition. They were not sort of ready for that time. But I had 2 who showed up, and they were not the best exhibits. I felt a little embarrassed for them, but they went and they did it anyways. They stood by their exhibits, they showed what they had in that time. And then on Monday morning, they come back in and say, when's the next theme? When do we find out what's next? I want to come back and I want to do it better. And I think in life, it's not always the destination. It's not always where we end up, but that journey along the way. And I think whether they were successful and won, or whether they were sort of distraught and really hurt, they'll always remember this time. Right? So they'll go into college and they say, well, I better not procrastinate, or it's going to be like History Day last year. So I think the experience that you get, whether it's high or low, in the middle, the success of these individual moments, it's that experience that you take along with you, and that can really motivate you moving forward. And anytime they say yes, mine is sort of optional to get into it. Anytime students are saying, yeah, I'll try that, it's always that moment of you're going for it, and that's the another big key of life.
So I just was talking, I was emailing to, excuse me, one of our alumni who is in her PhD research, still doing research that she started in History Day. She did the Easter Rising in Ireland, and now she's in the PhD program. Following that thread, which is really exciting. For teachers, we talked a little bit about the value of participating. How, and I guess for all of our panelists, I'm curious for our viewers who might not be familiar with History Day, people can participate in a variety of ways. How did you participate in terms of how you run at the school where either you teach or you attended?
So at my school, and I think this is really important, history is an option for any student in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I am an enrichment teacher, which is the new word for gifted and talented, but we operate under the philosophy that all students have gifts and talents. It's not that some do and they go to a special room and others don't. It's everybody's a gifted and talented. So I introduce History Day to all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I push into social studies classes. Anyone can do it. They have to write an essay to enter the program, and then once they're in, they go to me 1 day a week during their social studies class to work. They obviously have to spend a lot of time working out of school as well. And what I think works with History Day is providing guardrails and a structure in which participants can play and make the work their own. So I, especially middle schoolers, I create a timeline. So I have interim due dates every week of things that I need to check. You have to continue meeting those due dates to stay in the program at the release time. But students have a lot of creativity and choice within those parameters of their topic, what kind of a project they do. So I think it's that balance of giving some structures. Middle schoolers especially have never had to manage something as onerous as History Day. It's significantly more difficult than anything that students are assigned during school. So I need to think about how do I build the staircase so that students can meet the challenge of History Day, but in a way where they're really the ones still owning the work. So it's not that I'm structuring it so much that they're essentially filling out like a template or checklist. They've got to own it, but I have to help them get there.
I'm the department chair at Pathways Academy of Technology and Design in Hartford. And a few years ago, we really wanted to structure our department to support student growth. Seniors provide a capstone research project, and we do a themed portfolio project each year. So it was important for us to develop the skills of research, of presenting and project-based learning. So part of that was built in within social studies. Particularly getting them ready for History Day, it's always an option to compete, but I built it into our curriculum Typically, that falls into the sort of Gilded Age time period in U.S. history. And so the second marking period, they're working on a topic from that period, whether it is social change, technology change, economic change, global and political changes. So it gives them a wide variety of topics to really access. With that project due at the end of the marking period and semester, it gives the students a chance to have one completed project already in their hand, and then to build or add to it to get ready for the sort of January, February due date of registration. Those are those moments where you're able to encourage kids. One student I had this year was like, I didn't think it was going to be good enough. I said, Gabby, you have a great topic that is a fantastic turning point. It was on the camera and photography, right? What other turning point have we had in our history that says, look, we've got an actual event that we've got like an example of the past. It's not just a drawing, it's not just a memory, it's not just what somebody said, but actual photograph. And she had already built a website. I said, God, I didn't think it was going to be good enough, so, but okay, I'll do it. And a number of them either tweak or change their project for the registration. But to build it into our curriculum within our department is always big. It allows the students, if they're not quite comfortable with presenting, at least they've done the projects right up the way. And then you're able to just push them a little bit more and saying, you've done the project already, you might as well fulfill it. And so those are those guidelines to help support. And then as they're doing the project, they realize more and more that the skills that they've been learning, that they've been developing and growing, are coming to fruition. They're able to actually put them into practice in a meaningful way, in a competitive way.
I'll just add quickly that for the 6 years that I did, I went to a class combined in Hartford, and for all 6 years, every student in the school did it. It was history day, just like science fair day. There was history day where all the gym was filled with exhibits and everybody was showcasing all of their work. And the whole school kind of recognized it all at once. And I think that's a really great way to do it, both because we just got the habit of it and everybody bought into this idea. But then also the really cool thing, like my junior year when I went to nationals, there were 15 of us from our school that got to go to nationals together. And that's a really fun trip when you have 15 friends all going down to DC for the first time and getting to explore DC. And so I will just say that if there are schools thinking about maybe taking it across the school, I think that's a really great way to do it to get buy-in.
That was always a fun day when the entire school would do it. But we're kind of coming to the end of our time. Does anyone have questions that they want to ask any of our panelists?
I'm the new Norwich Region Coordinator for History Day. I'm based out of Niantic. What is a good way to get teachers to buy into this program to get more participation? So I live in East Lyme. There's one teacher at East Lyme Middle School who does History Day. So how would you recommend that I can encourage more people from that school or other regional schools to really get into history?
So I grew up in Westbrook near East Lyme, so I'm very familiar with college towns and what they look like when the summer residents leave. When I hear teachers who are kind of on the fence, I tell them to judge. I think that is the best way to get your feet wet and to see what History Day looks like before they actually go and commit to running their own program. So that's always what I recommend is go judge at a contest, meet the kids, interview them, hear how proud they are, masquerade as a DMV worker, I guess. And then there are a lot of teachers in Connecticut who run programs and are happy to share resources. So once they're starting a program, if they go to some of the events that Connecticut History Day runs here, that's a great way. They can make contacts with others. I'm always happy. I share my resources with anybody who wants to run their own program. Because really, I just think it's just such a benefit. Listening to the students talk earlier and these along here, it's such a benefit to society to have kids who are participating in History Day going out into the world. So I'm always, it's not like my materials and I'm gonna share them. So make those contacts with other professionals, ask for help and to start small. So maybe don't start with your entire school doing it. Start with an after-school club so you're managing 5 projects the first year. That's what I would recommend. Do you want to take it?
I think it's a big help to have it built in, right? You have all the pieces there within the school systems or the school spaces, whether it's topics, whether it's curious children, whether it is the academic skills that are put in place. I found it very helpful this year for Rebecca and other directors to come in and provide a little bit of service. The workshops were excellent. They provided that outside energy, so it's not just the same teacher saying, hey, we gotta do this, but have them come in, whether it was how to do a historical argument, thesis writings, explaining out the categories, but utilizing the other set of hands. Teachers at schools are trying to juggle a lot, and sometimes we don't have all the arms and hands necessary to catch and to throw. So anytime there are extra bodies in the room to come in and provide those times, if it's pulling students out to work in the library who would be interested, or at least say, oh, don't worry, I'll take thesis writing, or we'll do citation work for you. That's going to take and be a big relief for teachers, and that would really help to boost at least their energy. Because anything that they can sort of sneak off of their plate, they're like, yes, I'll take your help. So getting them involved and listening to what they do already and trying to mesh or blend in with that is a great skill.
Do you want to answer too? Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that, to Matt's point, we do have a student in a teacher handbook which has a series of lesson plans in English and Spanish that really takes the teacher through the whole history and journey. And we will come and do workshops in the classroom for free, no less, and we do educator workshops every year too. So we do try to, and you have generous people like Jen and other teachers in Connecticut who are willing to share their materials. Because one of the things I love about History Day is there's such a camaraderie, I think, amongst people. You know, like I think some of the students were talking a little bit in Alumni about, you know, people they've met and friendships. And I think that extends to those of us who, you know, are affiliate coordinators, educators, where it's about the process, it's about the learning. So, any other questions? Does anybody have any other questions?
Maybe one more question for the teachers here. How do you help your students select topics for History Day? For example, the theme for next year is rights and responsibilities. So are there any strategies on what topics to go for, what topics to avoid?
So I always ask my students to start by thinking about what message they want to send into the world. So what are you passionate about? What is a story that you might want to tell that either hasn't been heard or you want to convince people of? So it could be climate justice or a story from an underrepresented community. So if you've got that passion for your message, selecting a topic within that, I think will help drive the workload. Beyond that, I call it the Goldilocks test. You want a topic that isn't so obscure that there's going to be nothing written on it, which I heard students talk about that challenge. But also it can be really challenging if you choose a topic that Jackie Robinson knew was doing about, where there are dozens of projects at any regional contest on that topic every year. So it's picking something that is known, but maybe known a little bit. So yeah, I call it the Goldilocks test, but also really just starting with thinking about where's your passion area, what message do you want to send, what do you feel is important for other people to know about.
I just want to toss in quickly that I think that the passion, especially for a project that you're going to spend a bunch of time on, like, it needs to be something that you're passionate about. And Jack Robinson, I believe that my 8th grade year, rights and responsibilities was a similar topic, and I did Kurt Flood, who's a baseball player, that also had a really fascinating story. And that was like, okay, I'm really interested in baseball. but I don't want to do Jackie Robinson because everybody's doing Jackie Robinson. But what are the other stories? Because there are plenty of untold stories. And so I think finding your passion at the time you create, I love baseball and I wanted to do something on baseball, but also finding something that's a little not the very first thing you think of.
As I said, I start with the research projects in our curriculum, the time period in U.S. history. I teach mainly 10th graders, but I also have junior and seniors for the Black and Latino study elective. The couple of upperclassmen this year have certainly elevated their projects. And the 10th graders, because you sort of trick them in with the regular U.S. history curriculum, you give them the options of both global politics, economic, social change, and upheaval. Last year, I had one group who had a great project on the suffrage movement, but when it came time to register, they said, well, I think we want to change it up, and they did the influence of the British in East India. And so they took something that was passionate to them, and they sort of said, okay, I think we can do that. They gained the confidence from the regular school part. I think giving students the understanding that even the smallest passion, whether it's based on family, hobbies, influence, there was the students who talked about how their uncle or their grandfather was in the military in a big World War II buff. I think that's always where we think that's just sort of small family stories, but when in fact it is the prime example of the impact of history. So if you're able to start with that one passion moment, you can draw those connections and say, okay, find the local angle, how does it relate to Connecticut? Find that sort of big national group, how does it go in with the context of American history or the history of the time period and locations. So I think that sort of blend between what is this small impact that you might not be aware of that even having that link, but then researching and discovering that onto a much larger scale is sort of that trick.
I would also add, every year we do create a list of Connecticut topics that relate to the annual theme. And if possible, I think finding a local connection is really wonderful because I get these emails from colleagues like at the state library or at a museum, and they'll be like, Rebecca, I had yesterday's student come, and they're all excited. And, you know, so if you can find something local, and I think kind of as all of our alumni were saying, it's amazing where you run into a topic, and it can be really anywhere. So I think just kind of being alert to things of interest as you go through your day is a good way of finding that in the passion. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We're really excited. In just about a week, we're going to the national contest. Yay, go Team Connecticut. And I'd like to just finish by asking all of our participants today, if you were trying to encourage someone, either a student or a fellow teacher, to start their Connecticut History Day journey, what would you say to them? Why should they do it?
This is tough. I'd say it's difficult, but the end completely justifies the means. I never have had a student do History Day and regret it. Even the ones who don't make it to the regional contest, I had this conversation with your kid. I said, well, you learned some things about your time management. And then I asked, so what did you learn about your topic? And he went on and on and on. And I said, okay, so you know a lot more about that topic than you did 2 months ago, even though you couldn't finish your project. So no matter what, you're going to get something out of it. And it's just take that step and begin that journey.
Yeah, I agree. You'll definitely get something out of it, even if it's not what you expect. You might learn that the topic that you did research on for months is something that you hate, but at the end of it, you'll know that you don't like it.
Definitely have fun. We meet a lot of great people doing History Day, whether it's in the regional contest or if you make it all the way national. You're meeting people from all over the country, and you make these connections with people, and you learn how to be a personable person, and you meet with these experts who are your judges, and you get to learn a lot throughout the entirety of History Day. You get to really, really learn about you and how you work, what your work ethic looks like, and it really helps to develop what you end up wanting to do one day, because you obtain these skills that you probably would never really experience anywhere else. So I think it's really important.
Kind of jumping off of all those wonderful points, it's just that you're continuing down the path of an ongoing education, which is really great. And so, for instance, during college, I had this wonderful opportunity to intern for this critically acclaimed film historian, Deidre Boyle, and was a research assistant on her book, which just came out, called Bringing in Memories, about the Cambodian genocide in film, and this wonderful filmmaker, Ricky Pond. And there was a moment where it was like, thank you, History Day, where I was set down to the lower depths of the New York Public Library. I sadly did not see any ghosts, but but while you're down there, you're going through these physical film reels, and you're trying to find documents from Cambodia, which are like still NDA sealed, and you're just going through it, and it's this wonderful thing of, I wish my 9th grade teacher could see this, right? Where you're physically touching these primary sources, right? And then you have to somehow find a way to put them on the subway. But it is the wonders of that, and just let your minds go and explore and taste everything, whether you like it or not. Just watch it, read it, and get intimate with it.
I would say specifically when choosing a format, following your curiosity or following your passions is a really great opportunity for History Day. There are so many different formats, and being able to, oh yeah, maybe I want to try a documentary like that obviously led me somewhere. And so as you're entering it, look through the different formats and say, hey, what strikes my fancy? What do I maybe want to try this year? Because it's a lot of the same skills, but being able to package it in different ways allows you to explore some different options.
The process is exploration, right? And I think starting with one moment of curiosity, whether that is, I like baseball, I like science, I want to do something about war, and you match that with just start, right? Because we don't know where those stories lead us. And as you learn, you're like, oh, I want to, this big battle or this big bad guy. And as you learn about it, you find those magical stories that are really creative, that are really unique, that are very personal. And you don't know where you're going to end up. You just follow that path. The same way with the categories that you choose. This year, some of them were like, well, I thought exhibit was going to be one thing. Well, if you're not very crafty, then exhibits are a challenge, right? And if you're not very good with some basic digital videos or pictures, then documentaries are going to be a big challenge. So finding that one little unique thread and tugging on that and seeing what either unravels or what you then can create with that piece is key. So, just that start of exploring, and that's why I think saying yes is one of the most crucial things as part of this.
Well, thank you so much. It's good to see our alumni and doing so well. We're really proud of all of you. And thank you to our teachers, because there would be no program without History Day teachers. And we have 2 of our finalists joining us today. So please give a round of applause to all of them. And thank you, Rebecca, for that wonderful moderation. All right, everybody, again, thank you so much for coming. We do have our Old State House fee tour of the building with our very own Heidi over there. It's going to be our tour guide. I hope you can join us for us. She'll take you around the building, and the tour is themed after the annual theme of history this year, Turning Points in History. Hope you can join us for that. And please take wraps home. We have a lot of leftovers. Take some food for later. And thank you again for all of our panelists for coming down and joining us today. And go Team Connecticut. You can follow along on our social media. We'll be traveling down on the 8th, and the first day of competition is Monday, the 10th? Yes, I think that's right. So follow us along, and you can actually even watch the awards ceremony, which will be live streamed on Thursday morning. So good luck to our team, and see what happens. Thank you, everyone.